This is Mr. Elmhorst with the help video. We're going to take a look at the mastery practice for solving two-step equations. Make sure you are putting pencil to paper. Start by writing the equation on your paper, and then we're going to put a line down through the equal sign, separating the left side and the right side, and then circle the variable term. And we are going to start by adding or subtracting to start to solve. When you see adding 3, we're going to inverse and reverse it by subtracting 3 from both sides. So that's going to remove the constant from the left side, and now we're left with the variable term. And then 15 minus 3 give us 12. So that's the end of step 1, where we're only going to add or subtract to solve. And then we're going to go to step 2, where we multiply or divide. So 2 is multiplying x. So we're going to divide the left side by 2, divide the right side by 2. That is our second step. So 2 divided by 2 becomes 1, and then we have 1x, which is what we want. X is equal to 12 divided by 2. So finish that up. Continue with number 2. Write the whole equation down on your paper. Now we're going to separate the left side from the right side. Circle the variable term with the sign to the left. And we're going to start with step 1, removing the constant on the side with the variable. The opposite of subtracting 1, we're going to add 1. So we bring the variable down to the next step. And 17 plus 1 is going to give us 18. And this variable is multiplied by negative 3. So we're going to divide by the coefficient in order to remove it. And when we do it to one side, we do it to the other. So that was step 1. And now step 2, we're going to divide by negative 3. 3 divided by 3 becomes 1. Negative divided by negative becomes positive. So now we are left with the variable term p all by itself, and then 18 divided by negative 3. Yeah. Checking your work on number 3. Write the whole equation down on your paper. And we're going to separate the left side and the right side. Now, the variable term is on the right side this time, but do not circle the negative. The negative goes with the 4 over here. So I just wanted to point that out. But we're going to stick with circling the variable term, and then we're going to start with getting rid of this negative 4. So the opposite of subtracting 4 is adding 4. And what we do to one side, we do to the other. So this is step 1. Now the minus 4 has been canceled. Now we bring the variable term down to the next step, 5k. And we have negative 24 plus 4, which means we're getting less negative. So we're going to subtract these two numbers because they're going in different directions. So it's going to leave us with 20, and it's more negative, so negative 20. And divide both sides by 5 to complete the solving process. 5 divided by 5 becomes 1. And now we have k on the right side, and then negative 20 divided by 5. This one we have parentheses that we need to take care of first. So we're going to use the distributive property. So we have to rewrite the equation after we use multiplication. So the factor 2 is multiplying b, and then 2 is also multiplying 3. So the first thing, we have 2 times b minus, then we have the second thing, 2 times 3, which is 6. So now that you've distributed, now we can start to solve. Draw a line down through the equal sign, circle the variable term, And we're going to start away from the variable by getting rid of the -6. We're going to add 6 to both sides, bring the variable term down to the next step. So 2b is equal to 16, and this is multiplication, so we're going to divide. Now we're left with the variable b is equal to 16 divided by 2. Write the whole equation down on your paper, circle the variable term, and then get rid of what is on the side with the variable. So that's +9. We're going to inverse it and work the problem backwards by removing using opposites. So positive negative is gone. So now bring the variable term down to the next step, x divided by 2, and then 11 minus 9, which is going to give us 2. Now this means division. So the way we're going to get rid of division is by multiplying by 2, and then we do that to both sides. So 2 divided by 2 becomes 1, and then we are left with x equals 2 times 2. Once we see we have parentheses here, we need to multiply the first thing and multiply the second term inside the parentheses. So the first term and the second term. So we got 2 times k, so we have 2k, and then we have 2 times 3, which is 6. And then there's subtraction in the middle, nothing else changes. Rewrite it. Now we're ready to solve. Circle the variable term, and then we get rid of what's with the variable by looking at the opposite of what is there. So add 6. I'm going to do that to both sides. So we are left with 2k, which is equal to 16. And then this is multiplication, so we're going to divide by 2, and we're left with k equals 16 divided by 2. Write the whole equation down on your paper, separate the left side and the right side, and then circle the variable term. And then we're going to start on the side with the variable, and we're going to do the inverse of what we see. So subtracting 5, we're going to add 5, and then we go to the other side and we do the same thing. -5, +5 is good. That cancels, so now we have x divided by -3. And this is 5 positives, 2 negatives. They are different. So if you go -2 and then you go +5, you're going to end up at a +3. So this is division. So we're going to multiply by -3, and then we go to the other side, and then we multiply by -3. Times 3, divide by 3, times negative, divide by negative, those cancel. So now we're left with x equals -3 times 3. So we're going to look at separating the right side and the left side, circle the variable term and the sign to the left. Now, here we have two variable terms with the same variable. So we have +3 and +3. So we put those together. We're going to add them. They're both positive, and that's going to give us 6d. Variable term, we're going to add them. So that's 6d minus 6 equals -18. All right, so now we've combined like terms. Now we just have one term. Circle the variable term once again. And then we're going to inverse what we see with the variable term, starting with adding or subtracting. That's going to cancel positive and negative. Now we have 6D. And if you go negative 18 and positive 6, you go more negative than positive. These are different directions, so we're going to find the difference. So that's negative 12. Here we're multiplying by 6. So we're going to divide by 6 and then go to the other side and then divide by 6 also. 6 divided by 6 is 1. Now we have D equals negative 12 divided by 6. Separate the left side from the right side, then identify your variable terms. There's 4 z's, and then we have 1 z over here. They're the same terms. They're both letters, so now we can put them together. So that's 1 plus 4 is going to give us 5z minus 4. And then we just rewrite everything else. And now that we've combined the variable terms, instead of 2 different variable terms, now we have 1, and then we start to solve. Starting with adding or subtracting, we're going to add 4 to the variable side, and then go to the other side, and then do the same thing over here. So negative 4, positive 4, and now 21 plus 4 is 25. We bring the variable term down to the next step. This is multiplying, so we're going to inverse, do the opposite of multiplying, divide by 5, and then go to the other side, and then divide by 5 also. 5 divided by 5 becomes 1. Now z is by itself. Z is equal to 25 divided by 5. All right, now last one. Draw a line down through the equal sign. Circle the variable term. And now it looks like we have 2 different constants. So these are the same thing. They're numbers. They can go together. So 0.8, 1.2, they're both positive, so we can add them. So now we have n plus 2 equals 10.5. Circle the variable term, and then do the opposite of what we see with the variable. The opposite of adding is subtracting. And there's a decimal over here, so we're going to put in a decimal and make sure you subtract the whole numbers with the whole numbers. Now we bring the variable term down. N equals 10.5 minus 2. Positive and negative cancel, and go ahead and solve.